Today I'm going to be showing you how to fix a Frigidaire oven controller board with part number 318010300. The issue the customer was experiencing was that they had a dim display, the time buttons were not working, and they also had a power surge or power outage that caused the unit to not turn on anymore. So let's live test it and confirm the faults. I just plugged in the unit for our bench testing, and as you can tell, I don't have anything on our display. When I press the buttons, we don't have any audio feedback, so it does appear that the unit is completely dead. Using my multimeter in the AC mode, we're going to do a voltage check to make sure that our power coming into the controller board is present, and it is. We have 120 volts. Now, if I go to the pin number 3 on our transformer, that is where our neutral lead leads to, and we still have 120 volts, and it's supposed to go next to the 6th pin on our transformer, and we're getting 13 volts, which is not our 120. We should be getting 120. So what that tells me is that the fuse inside of our transformer has failed open and needs to be replaced. Now, we can't actually open up the transformer and take it apart to replace the fuse. So what we're going to do is we're going to mount the fuse on the outside and tape it against the transformer. So that's going to be our first step. One more test we're going to do is a continuity check to make sure the fuse is indeed defective. So we have a beep when we have continuity. If we take a look at the transformer, we have pin number 3 right over here and pin number 6 over here. We should be getting continuity. We have no beep, no continuity, so that further confirms that the fuse is indeed defective and needs to be replaced. So per usual, I typically like to add solder to our joints first, get good flow. There we go. Next, we can add our fuse. And we're going to use Kapton tape to tape the fuse down to the transformer. Now that it's locked in, we're going to add a little bit more solder, reinforce those joints. There we go. And we'll cut off the excess. Again, back in continuity mode, we get a beep when we have continuity. And of course, we should be getting continuity, and we are. We'll plug our board back in. And let's take a look. Hey, look at that. We're getting power again. We have some feedback. It is throwing codes because I don't have all my sensors plugged in, but at least it is powering on. Okay, so voltage check again in AC mode still. Do we have power to our pin 6? We do, 120. We were not getting the proper voltages prior. We are now, so we can move on to the next issue, which was the clock buttons were not working properly. In order to test those buttons, we are going to have to install some of our sensors here, and that should now allow us to set our clock. Ooh. Okay, so this button over here is not working. I'm getting nothing from it. You can hear when I click this button, it's not working, but if I click it very hard, then it works. So that's probably the issue the customer was experiencing. If you have a defective oven controller board that you would like to send in for us to fix, we do offer flat rate services which come with a 1-year warranty. Those are available on our website, which I will link in the video description down below. And for this next step, we'll switch back over to the microscope. So the legs of the button in question are right over here and over here. So those are the 2 legs we'll want to desolder. As you can see, the legs are folded over, so let's straighten those out a little bit. And I'm just pushing the leg up a little bit with my iron. There we go. And now with our desolder wick, we should be able to wick away all of that solder. Am I able to move and wiggle those legs a little bit? Not exactly. Okay, no, there we go. I was able to kind of push it around a little bit, and so it does look like it is now loose. And I can wiggle out the button. All right, there we go. Let's just double check, make sure that the pads are okay. Okay, the pads are still in good condition. Let's feed our replacement button through. and solder that down. There we go. Now there is a little bit of flux residue, so let's clean that off. And we'll try the button one more time. Oh yeah, it's much more responsive. Yep. I'm being very gentle with it. It's hard to show on video, but it's extremely responsive, whereas before it was not. So we have resolved that problem. The last issue is the dim display. The display actually doesn't look that dim, but they did request we replace it and they paid for the service, so we'll go ahead and do that. For the display, there are 6 support pins at the top, 3 on the top left and top right. So we're gonna start by desoldering those support pins first. The display should now lift up. Yep. All 6 are fully desoldered. Let's tackle the other side. And we have 3 more support pins on the bottom right, as well as bottom left. And finally, we have all of the data lines in the center. And let's see, can we wiggle out the display? I think there's still a couple lines that are soldered down, so we'll attack it from the other side this time, pushing the pins back up a little bit. There we go. Now our new display does not have the support pins on the top, and we only have 2 on each side on the bottom. So that's okay, but it does mean we're gonna put a sticky pad on the processor, which will help hold the new replacement display in place since we don't have the additional support. I'm just doing a quick clean of the slightly dirty and dusty processor so that I have a clean surface to install the double-sided pad. Double-sided sticky pad. All right, and next we're going to gently feed our display into place, making sure every pin is exactly where it needs to be. All right. Is the display lined up right? It looks like it is. We'll go ahead and start by soldering down our supports. Now the pins aren't actually coming through as much as I would have liked them to. So what we're gonna do is press down slightly. And so they're protruding through, when I press down slightly, they're protruding through just a bit more. And that's probably because the pad is ever so slightly thicker than it needs to be. But now we can go ahead and solder the rest of the pins as they are at the correct depth. Okay, and that's all of them. Now you probably did notice there is a bridge in the center. Let's go ahead and clean up the area first, and then we'll zoom in on it. And that's actually normal. There is actually a trace below that connects both of these pins to one another, so that's why this is okay. Now, if that had happened to, let's say, these 2 pins together here, then that would not be okay. We would need to remove that bridge. Let's go ahead and plug the unit back in for our final test. And look at that. Our display is nice and bright. The button for the time is now very responsive and fully functional. Of course, we do have power to the controller board, which we did not before, so that confirms we have a successful repair. Now, there are typically 3 more components, which are the electrolytic capacitors that we commonly replace. We'll do that off screen. We did tackle all of the issues that the customer sent in the controller board for, so that will conclude our video. If you found the video helpful or useful, leave us a like, subscribe for more content, and thank you for watching.